How has the brand Trikko grown their email list to more than 100,000 subscribers and sell out clothing drops in minutes, all with nothing more than a social media account? We're going to be talking about that today. I'm Elijah Delport, and this is Brand Breakdown, where we are analyzing the content strategies of great clothing brands so that you can improve your own. Today, we're going to be looking into 3 videos from the Trikko Instagram page that give us some insight into the strategy that they're applying to get the results that they have. One of which is about how they use controversy and pick a side with Israel and Palestine. Another one is all about how they create a record label to partner with celebrity musicians. But before those 2 pieces of content, we're going to be looking at how they use reverse psychology to tell you who their brand isn't for and how that brings in more people than ever. Let's watch the video now, and then I'm going to be analyzing it in a moment.
How the hell did we sell out this jersey in less than 5 minutes with a closed website and $0 spent on ads? I could give you a bunch of reasons, but honestly, one will be enough. It's the same reason Matthias has spent $5,562 on Trikko so far. You see, there are 2 types of people in this world. The first type just follows the crowd, buying whatever an ad throws at them, filling their closet with stuff they don't even need. But then there are the leaders. The ones who see beyond the hype, the ones who move with purpose. And if you're still watching, I'm betting you're the second type. I trust the algorithm to show my content to those who strive for greatness, because real recognizes real. And if you're someone who's willing to go the extra mile, someone who's chasing their life purpose with everything they've got, then Trikko is your brand. Only those who truly understand the vision join our wait list. And let me tell you, once a month, you get a password. But here's the catch. If you're even 5 minutes late to the drop, you're going to have to wait another month. Why? Because you can't rush greatness. So if you're ready to stop following the crowd and start leading, hit that waitlist link. But remember, this isn't for everyone. We don't really need you to join.
This isn't for everyone. We don't really need you to join unless you are the game changers. It's so clear here who their brand is for and who it isn't. And by doing this, it's kind of this reverse psychology trick that makes you wonder, well, is this actually a brand I want to be a part of? So let's talk about what is their brand identity? Who is this brand for? Well, they made it clear in the video. It's for those that are hungry for greatness, the leaders, those that work hard, the doers, the risk takers, the hustlers, and especially the game changers. Now, that's a phrase that they use quite often. And in showing us who it is for, they also make very clear who it isn't for. And it's the opposite of this person. It's for those that follow the crowd, that click an ad and buy just whatever the world throws at them. Now, what are they doing here? What is the strategy that's motivating these creative decisions and exactly what Trikko is saying here? Well, it's that they're creating a common enemy. And so this is a very important concept to understand when community building, because in order to know who is in your community, you have to understand who is not in your community. And so if their community is for the game changers, then the people that aren't in the community are those that sit on their butt, that do nothing, that don't hustle, that are followers, not leaders. And they filter these people through by saying, this clothing drop is not going to release publicly to our Instagram page. It's only going to release to a mailing list. And so many will look at this and go, okay, this is just a method of selling their clothing. It goes beyond that. This is a marketing play. This method of selling is not only building hype just because it is. It's actually giving Trikko as a brand the perception that you need to work just the same way you work for anything in this life. You work for the clothing. And if you're not for that, then we don't even need you on the mailing list. And it's amazing because this puts the power back in the hands of the brand, where every other clothing brand's out there saying, please join the mailing list. Trikko is saying, we don't really need you. You can if you resonate with this idea, with this identity. But if you don't, please, in fact, don't join. It's not for you. Now, something I want to point out, they say that the reason they sell out every clothing drop in a matter of minutes is the same reason why Matthias has spent $5,526 on Trikko. And then what does he go on to say? He goes on to list all these things that I've just mentioned about the brand identity of Trikko, who it's for and who it's not for. Through this, we know that Trikko understands a great truth of marketing, and it's that people buy because of identity. That's everything he's getting at. That's why Matthias has spent so much money on the Trikko brand. It's not because Trikko makes better garments than everyone else. It's not because they use better materials. It's not because they have better designers. Quite frankly, their designs are pretty well on par with a lot of the great brands out there, and you can find similar designs to them for an even cheaper price. So what is the difference here? Well, it's the identity, the brand identity, and that's exactly what they're getting at. That's why Matthias has spent so much, and it brings me to my point that customers in community, and when I say in community, I mean customers that relate with a brand message, become fans. FAN. It's an acronym that stands for F for faithful. They turn down logically better options. A for advocate. They tell their friends, they tell others about your brand, and N for nurtured. They're loyal customers. They come back and buy again and again and again. And that's exactly what Matthias is, and the reason he's become that is because Trikko's done a fantastic job at, first and foremost, sharing their brand identity before they share with you their product, their designs, whatever else. And that's what people buy into. Not the product, but the identity. And that's why they become part of a strong community and would call themselves super fans of a brand like theirs. So, for any brand out there that's wanting to implement a similar strategy that you're seeing in this video in community building, here's what I'd suggest. Come up with a really clear brand identity that reflects the aspirational identity of your customers. Who do your customers want to become? In the case of Trikko, their customers want to become the game changers. They want to become the hustlers, the doers. They're hungry for greatness, the leaders. Heck, maybe they're not that today, but someday they will be. Why? Because wearing the Trikko brand helps them become that person. And 2, start telling your Instagram or your social, wherever your customers see your stuff, start telling them about this aspirational identity. Reflect it back to them. Show them the people that represent that identity. Share with them what that identity is about and show them how to become that person. And in doing so, you're going to gather people that start to resonate with your idea, that buy into your idea before they buy the product, and therefore spend the kind of sums that people like Matthias spend, $5,526. And imagine having a customer lifetime value like that. It's absolutely nuts. In this next video, Trikko is picking a side on a very controversial topic, Israel and Palestine. And they show us what it means to be truly vulnerable as a brand and the effect that has on building a community. Let's watch it now and then I'll analyze the video.
You know us. We're not a brand that stays silent on controversial issues. We make things happen. So here's the news. In the spirit of making a difference, we've produced hundreds of Palestine jerseys, and our first stop is Manchester. Tomorrow at 3:30, we're giving away 50 tees for free. Zero cost, infinite awareness. Now, I know this might ruffle some feathers, and yeah, I might lose some followers. But here's the truth. I don't care. At this point, there are 0 hospitals in Gaza, and 2 million people no longer have access to medical help. If you can't see the issue, then I don't really need your follow. See you tomorrow. Location will be announced in stories. First come, first serve.
They really are not holding back on picking a side. And that's exactly what makes this video great. Now, I want to mention, please don't get caught up on what side that they're picking. I'm simply coming at this from a content strategy perspective in how to grow a community. And there's something that we can learn, so please come at this with an open mind is all that I'm asking you. What Trikko is doing here is showing us what it truly means to be vulnerable as a brand. Now, there's a lot of talk about needing to share your failures, your struggles, creating a personal brand and using that space to be vulnerable. Now, there is truth in what they say, that vulnerability is important, otherwise you come across as a company, and a company is not a community. A community has personality and people relate and resonate with it. In order to do that, it needs to appear somewhat human. So sharing struggles and pain points is something that you can do, and a lot of companies choose to take that route. However, you might be in the boat where you're one of the brands that are not comfortable to share that side of your brand. So that's why I share with you, there is another way to be vulnerable without sharing your struggles. And Trikko is showing us how right now. What they're doing is they're picking a side on a controversial issue and being vocal about it. The worst thing you could do as a clothing brand trying to build a community is be a fence sitter. Be in between, because mediocre never is noticed. It's never spoken about, and there's nothing I can latch onto. There's no reason that I would follow mediocre, because the people I follow, the leaders, the reason they're leaders is because they are not afraid to stand up in a space where they could be called out, where they could be hated for what they believe or what they think is right, and they go for that anyway. Now, you as a brand can do the same. What is your niche brand identity, and what are the controversial issues within that space that you have to pick a side on? For example, my audience is clothing brands who are marketing through social media. Now, one of the things that I believe that is really me picking a side is that marketing is more important than product. I believe at the most, it's 70-30 marketing product in terms of level of importance. Now, you might be watching this and go, Elijah, that is the loudest bullcrap I've ever heard in my life. Well, fantastic. You get the point then. I've done my job. I'm picking a side, and some people are going to love it and some people are going to hate it. And if you hate it right now, it also probably means that there's people on the other side that love it. And because they love it, they're going to be more loyal than ever. And they latch onto the idea, and you might be feeling the effect of that as I speak as well. So my question is, what is your unique angle on whatever your space is? I want to give you one more example because I think it's going to help solidify this idea of what it means to be vulnerable in picking a side on a controversial issue. For example, Nike did a campaign with Colin Kaepernick. Now, to give some background, Colin Kaepernick is an American football player. Now, Colin Kaepernick, in response to police brutality that was going on at the time, this was during the Black Lives Matter movement, he decided to not stand up during the American national anthem on live television in one of his football games. And it went absolutely viral. In fact, I even believe he lost his job as a result of it. But what happened? Nike came in and they decided to create a campaign with Colin straight after or in the midst of this controversy unfolding. Stand for something even if it means sacrificing everything. Now, what's Nike's brand identity about? Well, part of it is actually about standing for something and making sacrifices to get there, usually in the realm of sporting, but sometimes on social issues as well. And so in doing so, Nike received two lots of responses. First of all, you had people who were burning Nike shoes on social media. Very crazy response, right? On the other side, they increased their profits by an extraordinary amount during the time of that campaign. What does that tell us? Is that picking a side actually does pay off in a business sense. And heck, if you believe in something and you believe it creates real positive change in this world, then I encourage you to stand for it anyway, because that means your community isn't just internal, but you also create good in the world around you, even if the culture suggests otherwise, even if the culture is against you. In this final piece of content, we're going to be looking at how Trikko has created a music label to partner with some celebrity musicians and help grow their brand. This is crazy. I've never seen any brand do this before. But before we get there, here's a quick break. We'll be back in a moment. I believe community is the X factor in any brand that's seen any kind of success. It's the very thing that's going to take your clothing brand from here to up here. And so I did the most logical thing. I created a community of my own of brand owners who are building their own communities. Look, it's totally free to join, and I promise being in a group of other passionate brand owners who are going to keep you accountable, who you can ask questions to, who are going to give you advice, is the very thing that's going to help you take it to the next level, especially when we're working with small teams. When you probably can't afford to have a whole room of creatives around you, well, here it is. For free. There's a link in the description that you can use to join right now. I can't wait for you to get this value. I'll see you on the other side. But for now, back to the video.
Ladies and gentlemen.
اسمع لازم فيرو بيرسون شبار با وبيغو صباح فطار هاو لابس غير تريكو خويا السلام عليكم لا competencia جبناها فيكم conflictivas 280 barrio el hurto vistiendo el vecindario el LGZ control rutinario risas y violencia mezclada a diario las rutas son fijas no hay que dudar la acera es la mesa para apostar el dinero fácil de lo ilegal se vuelve difícil cuando
Cool, right? I mean, if you like the music, you like the music. I mean, it's not quite my thing, but besides the point, This is part of a series called Show Your Bars. This is number 4. And here's how Trikko describes it. Show Your Bars is a creative platform that brings streetwear and music culture together. We partner up with artists to make a song from scratch and manage the visual side of the project. Man, what a fantastic idea. So Trikko has this brand identity that is all about the game changers. So what do? They partner with actual game changers in the music industry. Genius. Like, I mean, it's super simple and it makes so much sense. And so this is the real world realization of their mission where they're inspiring the game changers. They actually get to do that. The thing that occurs to me about an effort like this is how it creates a strong brand. And that's really what Trikko has. Now, the brand is the association of 2 or more things. So if I, for example, wear a Louis Vuitton t-shirt, you're going to associate me with luxury because that becomes my brand. That's who and how I associate. They're doing the exact same thing here, except with the music industry. Now, Trikko is identifying that their brand identity wants to be one of game changers. That's the people that they want to bring together in the community that they want to build. So what better way to do that than embedding their clothing into the music industry itself? Now, their brand is associated with these musicians, and all of the people that follow these musicians become fans of the Trikko brand. Now, not literally everyone. Of course, some people couldn't care less. But you understand my point. Their brand is built by association. So simply consider, what do you want your brand to become? And who are you going to associate it with, or what, in order to become that? Now, the more your brand is associated with that thing, the stronger it becomes. And what I should really mention in this is that you don't want to have a cloudy brand message, because if you associate with many different things in many different places and there's no real rhyme or reason to it, people are going to be confused about what your brand is and who it's for. So this is why I always say step 1 is defining very specifically what your brand identity is and what your community is about. That way, choosing what you're going to associate your brand with becomes really clear. Being that this is the real world realization of their mission, let me ask you the question, what are you going to do once you make lots of money? It's important to start thinking about this today and make it a feature of your marketing, or the reason why someone might start supporting you today, even if you're not doing this in the biggest way you can. So for example, if you're a mental health brand, maybe you have some sort of mission to build a mental health organization, for example, and you might not be able to do that today, but maybe one day when you make a lot of money with your clothing brand, you can do that. Start talking about it. Start supporting other mental health organizations and partner with them. Make it a feature of your marketing and a reason why someone might start following you. Heck, even announce it as a goal. Share with the world where you want to take this. Where is your moonshot? And people, because people might follow you for the potential of your brand, not necessarily where you're at right now. They're saying, yes, that's my moonshot too, or I want to come alongside a brand in their moonshot. Let me join with you, let me buy your clothing and support this mission of yours. Another question that I want to derive from this is, what industry does your clothing brand overlap with? Many brands don't work outside of the realm of fashion, and it's really a missed opportunity. It's so much unseen potential in doing so. So consider, what is your brand message and what industries it overlaps with? Is it music? Is it any kind of creative industry? Heck, maybe it's in the construction industry. Maybe it's in the sports industry. Maybe it's specifically skateboarding. It doesn't matter. Consider which industry your clothing brand overlaps with and try and partner with the people from those places. Thanks very much for watching. I'm Elijah Delport, and that is all from me. If you enjoyed this episode of Brand Breakdown, please subscribe and leave a comment to let me know. I read every single one of your comments and I love replying to them. And heck, if this was really valuable, you can trust that I put out more valuable stuff than just this. I create exclusive content for my community of brand owners that you can consume yourself. You can read my posts. I've got a free marketing course inside of there, and you can also network with other brand owners. There's a link to join in the description for free. Thanks very much for watching this brand breakdown, and I'll see you next time for another.